Previously, on the practice.
I'm on call for my rape crisis center today. Is that gonna be okay?
I thought you were just in training.
I thought you were volunteering nights.
I finished training this weekend, and I am volunteering nights. Can I get you anything? Blanket me? No! She panicked. She totally panicked.
Well, you won't do that next time.
There's not gonna be a next time. Maddie.
Are you Lucy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm gonna see you at the clinic, right?
I'll be there.
Harlan Bassett to see Eugene Young. Is he available? Eugene? She's my niece, so naturally I have a vested interest. Besides her being innocent.
Is it a burglar?
No. Just shoplifting. It's a false ID, Eugene. Are you certain this is the woman you saw?
I am.
Positive?
Yes.
At this time, I would ask that the real Emma Luger please stand up.
I will seek counsel in chambers. Both of you are in contempt.
I didn't know.
I told you I would hold you accountable. You're in contempt.
Who's your DA?
Helen Gamble. You know, I actually really like working with her. Don't you have a kid to go home to?
I do, and I'm going. How late are you gonna be?
Oh, not much longer.
Richard.
Guzman, 18 months.
That's the same offer you made over the phone.
I know. I came here to make it in person.
What's the matter?
Nothing. I just think you should take the deal on Guzman.
The drugs weren't his. I can't recommend him to take...
He won't win this.
You're acting a little odd. Why have you come down here?
I'm talking to you now not just as a DA, Lindsay, but one with whom your firm has a relationship. Do your client a very big favor and convince him to take this deal.
What is going on?
I'm just here to suggest very strongly that he take the 18 months. That's all I will say.
The offer's rejected.
Lindsay, please.
Tell me more than what you're telling me.
I can't.
The offer is rejected.
Months doesn't seem like a terrible offer.
He says the drugs weren't his.
Understood, but if your defense is the police planted them when he's got a prior...
Well, first of all, I think I can beat the search.
What if you can't? Will the deal still be there?
I don't know.
Take it.
Take it.
Take it.
Eugene? I saw you, Eugene. Very funny.
After the detective, I'll call you to the stand. You'll make the ID, and then I'll ask you to describe the rape. Now, I'm gonna need you to be as detailed as possible. Okay, Meredith? Meredith.
Okay.
Look, I know this is rough, but I'll be there with you. I'll walk you through this.
I don't understand why it's me who has to go on trial.
You won't be on trial. It's just gonna seem that way. I'll come get you in a few minutes.
Okay. Your parents didn't fly in? I talked them out of it. The truth is, the less people that know me in there, the better. Meredith, you don't have any shame in this. I know, but that defense attorney, he is gonna blame me. You said that yourself. I also said that that's standard strategy in date rape cases. If you just go in there and stay strong, stick to the truth, you're gonna be fine. Thank you for being here. I would have never made it this far. Well, you have. There's just a little further to go.
The stuff wasn't mine.
10 grams, Manny. You could be looking at a lot of time.
Look, if they're offering 18 months, that tells me the DA knows this is weak.
Maybe he knows the drugs were planted. I don't think he'd prosecute if he thought that. Look. This DA, he seems to be suggesting that something else could be in play here. Do you know what that could be?
No.
Could it be bluffing? Afraid he might lose the suppression hearing.
It's possible, but I didn't get that feeling.
Why not just try with the motion to suppress? And if we lose,
My concern is the state may pull the plea if they win on that.
The stuff wasn't mine. I'm not gonna cop to it. Let's try to suppress. We'll go from there.
Miss Dole. Look, I basically raised my brother. He never knew his father. He's an honest kid, and he's made mistakes. But he owns them when he does. Like, what I'm trying to say is, if he says the drugs weren't his, they weren't his.
I'll do my best, Hector.
Miss Dole, look, I've done okay for myself. I have the auto shop and all, but Manny, he's good at school even. He's got a chance at college.
I'll help your brother as best I can.
Thank you.
I developed the case. I already settled out with the doctor. I just
For
need...
$45,000. 13-year-old girl, liver failure? 45 seems low.
They needed the money. Plus, the drug company is the deep pocket here.
Well, have they offered anything?
Not yet, but you know how this goes. Things get settled on the courthouse steps. I expect an offer.
Oh, you do?
The girl got hurt bad, Eugene, like you say, and these big drug companies, they don't like the publicity of trials.
They don't like to set a precedent of settling either. Now, you said this drug comes with a warning to doctors. Not proven to be safe and effective on children under 16.
Saying not proven safe is different from saying dangerous. I'm telling you, Eugene, there's a case here. They'll settle this.
Okay. And why do you need me?
Well, my track record in product liability cases, I don't think I exactly put the fear of God in them. Now, your case where you took on the EPA, a $30 million verdict.
It was cut down.
But you got the verdict. If I have you guys on board as co-counsel, I know I can chip the settlement up. I'll give you a third of my contingency.
Harlan, I don't know.
Please. These are good people, Eugene.
Yeah, but every time I sign up with you, I end up getting embarrassed.
That's not going to happen this time. I've worked hard here. I developed the file. I beat their motion to dismiss. I got it to trial.
But you don't think you can win at trial. That's why you're so desperate to settle.
I just want to be sure they get something.
We had been to a party, and he was walking me home.
The defendant?
Yes. And we got about halfway to my dorm when...
When what, Meredith?
Well, first he just started saying that he was going to come back to my room with me so that we could fool around.
What did you say to that?
I think I laughed it off. I didn't want to be mean, so I didn't really answer him. And then, when we got to my room, we went inside.
You let him in?
Yes. We were still talking. And I had some soda in my refrigerator, so we had a drink. And then suddenly he just grabbed me, and he tried to kiss me.
What did you do then?
I pushed him off. I mean, we weren't even on a date. He was just walking me home from a party.
And what happened after you tried to push him off?
I think I laughed again. I don't know, to make the situation less awkward, but I told him, no, it's time to go. And he grabbed me again.
After you said no?
Yes. He pushed me onto the floor.
And then what, Meredith?
He pulled up my skirt. And he pulled my panties down.
What did you do?
I tried to fight him off, but he had my knees pinned to the floor. And I couldn't. And then he was forcing himself inside of me.
At any time, did you consent to this?
No. He was raping me.
I was on night patrol when I saw the defendant run the stop sign. I pulled him over.
What happened next?
As I approached the defendant's vehicle, he made a furtive gesture. He reached under the seat as if he was going for a weapon.
And what did you do, officer?
Fearing for my safety, I pulled out my service revolver and asked him to step out of the vehicle. I then began to search the vehicle for a possible weapon.
Did you find any?
No, but under the driver's seat was a plastic bag containing what was later determined to be 10 grams of crack cocaine. I placed the defendant under arrest and advised him of his rights.
You feared for your safety.
That's correct.
After you got the defendant out of his car, what did you do next?
I searched for weapons.
Did you call for backup?
No, I thought I could handle it.
Did you pat frisk?
Actually, I thought the weapon was in the vehicle.
How about handcuffs?
At that point, no.
You were alone, and you left my client unrestrained and unsupervised?
Like I said, I thought I could
While
handle
you were
it.
searching the vehicle, where was the defendant standing?
A few feet behind me, I guess.
You turned your back on him, while in fear for your safety.
Only for about 30 seconds or so.
Your Honor, we move to suppress all evidence in this case. Officer LeMay's search here clearly does not fall under the Terry exception. He has failed to provide any legal basis for a weapon search.
The fact that the defendant made a furtive gesture is not disputed here. If you consider the defendant's suspicious behavior, the time of night, the neighborhood, a reasonable police officer would have feared for his safety and searched the car.
Perhaps, but the fact remains, Officer LeMay failed to conduct a simple pat frisk. That tells me he wasn't threatened by this defendant, nor was he concerned for his safety. I am finding the search to be illegal. Charges are dismissed.
Thank you so much.
Daniel Guzman, you're under arrest.
Get your hands off me.
Step back, sir.
What's going on here?
Immigration, Your Honor. We're placing this man under arrest.
On what grounds?
Violations of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act.
What?
What's happening?
You're deporting him? Don't worry, Manny. I'll take care of this. Don't say a word to anybody, okay? Do not talk.
Where to?
I guess the conference room.
What's going on?
Oh, Harlan Bassett.
Yes, I know. What's going on?
Eugene and I have a settlement conference.
Here?
Yes. Opposing counsel wanted to have it at my office. I think because they suspect I don't have one.
Harlan, I can't have our office cluttered up.
I will make it all neat, I swear.
Eugene. I didn't know he was going to bring this stuff here.
What's this case and what's our involvement?
Product liability against a drug company that injured a little girl. Harlan did.
This guy ponies you up every time.
I told him I'd join him for a settlement conference. That's all it will be.
Why can't you ever say no to this guy?
Very good question.
You invited my client into your dormitory room, didn't you, Miss Dansby?
I didn't invite him in to have sex.
You invited him in, offered him a drink.
A soda.
Had you been drinking alcohol that evening?
I had had some alcoholic punch, yes.
And Ms. Danzer, when you say that my client grabbed you and kissed you against your will, you admit that you kissed him back. Isn't that correct?
I kissed him a little bit, but I wasn't reciprocating. I didn't want to...
You didn't want to what? Rebuff his advances?
I didn't want to totally hurt his feelings. But he knew that I wasn't interested.
Move to strike.
Sustained. Miss Dancer, please don't tell us what he knew.
I told him to stop. I pushed him off of me.
After this incident occurred...
It wasn't an incident, it was rape.
After it occurred, did you then call the police?
Eventually.
How long after this incident did you call the police?
3 days.
3 days.
I was confused.
Confused about whether you'd been raped?
I was in shock. I needed to talk to someone, so I went to the Rape Crisis Center to talk to a counselor.
You met with a rape counselor?
Yes, at the Boston Crisis Center.
Do you remember the counselor's name?
Yeah. Lucy Hatcher, she's right there.
What did you tell Miss Hatcher?
Objection, privilege.
Sustained.
Did you become clear that you'd been raped after talking to this counselor?
Yes.
After meeting with this counselor, that's when you decided to call the police?
Yes.
I'm an American.
You were born in this country.
No, but
I adopted Manny when he was a year old. He was my sister's boy. She came here from Colombia to get her green card. She was only here for a month when she was killed in a car accident.
You legally adopted him?
Yes, I have all the court papers.
Did you file papers with the Immigration Service?
Nobody advised me I had to do that.
Okay. Technically, Manny isn't a resident of this country.
What? Why?
You're not a U.S. citizen. And because you have a felony drug conviction on your record, the INS has the power to remove you. They want to send you back to Colombia.
Back to Colombia? He doesn't even know anyone in Colombia. We have no family there.
He doesn't even speak Spanish.
Something is going on here. I don't know what, but...
The drug conviction was over a year ago. Why do they want to deport him now?
I thought she wanted to have sex.
She said that she pushed you off.
Yes, 1 second she was pushing me off, the next she was kissing me.
Did she tell you to stop?
She said no a couple times, but...
But what?
It wasn't no, like don't. It was more no, like we shouldn't be doing this.
Well, what was the difference in your mind?
Well, we weren't even on a date. We just met at a party, and I was walking her home. She didn't... I felt she wanted to have sex, but was conflicted about it, about seeming promiscuous.
Did you force yourself on her?
No. I definitely took the initiative, but I thought I was doing something we both wanted.
Now, after you had sex, Mr. Smith, then what happened?
We shared a ginger ale. We talked for a while, and then I left.
Was she crying, or...?
No.
Did she seem upset?
No. I mean, she did have some regret, but...
What kind of regret?
Well, she just kept saying we really shouldn't have done that, and that she's not the type of girl who meets a man and has sex. But she wasn't angry at me. She seemed to be more angry at herself.
Did she rip her own clothes?
No, I probably did that.
What about the bruise on her left wrist?
If I did that, I certainly never realized I was hurting her.
So when she said no, you figured she didn't really mean it, and therefore you took the initiative?
I guess that's right.
So you bruised her wrist, you tore her clothes off, she told you to stop. But in your mind, you figured she really wanted it.
Yes. A lot of women, they don't want to be thought of as promiscuous, so they'll resist a little even though they really want you to keep going.
I see. I think we can end with that answer. Nothing further.
The witness may step down.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to call Lucy Hatcher to the stand.
Objection. This witness has no competence or foundation.
This witness was the turning point in Ms. Danzer's decision to falsely accuse my client of rape, and I would like to cross-examine her.
Any communication between Miss Danzer and her counselor is privileged.
That privilege is outweighed by the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Only if Miss Hatcher is aware of exculpatory evidence. That's not the case here.
Your Honor, that's exactly what I'm looking to find out. This is a criminal trial. My client faces serious charges. I should be allowed to explore this issue.
I'll see Miss Hatcher in chambers tomorrow morning.
Okay. You were trying to tell me something last night.
I can't really talk on the record, Lindsay. Off the record, if you'd like to have a seat. Six weeks ago, an undercover narcotics officer was shot and killed in the back room of a Lawrence bar. Your client was there.
Was he involved?
I don't think so. But he saw who did it. The police believe it was somebody Manny used to run with during his drug days. Basically, your client's a material witness who's not talking.
So this is leverage.
Seems so.
And those drugs were planted in his car to get leverage.
That I don't know. All I can say, Lindsay, the police are on a mission to get the killer. Your guy's caught in the middle.
This is extortion.
All the charges are legitimate. The motive for bringing them isn't really relevant. That's why I wanted to settle this quickly, before all this stuff went into motion. I can't really interfere now.
What's the offer?
If he credibly IDs the shooter, Manny will get an S visa. He can stay in the country indefinitely.
What if he doesn't know who the shooter is?
He's got a problem.
If rape counselors can be forced to testify, what good will they be?
Perhaps not as...
Victims will be afraid to talk to me.
I just need to know the details of your first conversation, so I can make a determination as to whether...
Why?
How did you help her decide she had been raped?
That's privilege.
I'm overriding that privilege.
What?
I'm allowing your testimony.
I asked you if there was something you knew that I didn't.
I didn't know that had anything to do with this.
If you saw...
I didn't. I was there. I didn't see anything.
Manny, this is not the time to cover for a friend.
I'm not. How can they just do this?
They're the INS. With a felony conviction, they can deport a non-citizen, which you are. You will be gone. I can't prevent that. They're offering you a visa if you cooperate. You saw it. Tell me.
I can't.
Manny, you're about to be deported to a country where you don't know anybody. The only person that can help you here is you.
This is lawyer-client, right?
Of course.
You can't repeat nothing, not to anyone.
Of course not.
It was my brother.
What?
Hector's the dealer Miss stole. He runs an auto shop as a cover. I can't give up my brother.
Why am I here?
Well, if we have more of an army, they'll take us more seriously. You can just sit there quiet.
Look, I do have work to do.
They're due here any second. The meeting should take a half hour, tops.
Do you have a squeal number?
What?
Squeal number, a number you'll take.
Well, 6 figures would be good. Listen, Eugene, it's probably best if you kind of lead the meeting.
Lead the meeting?
Just start things off. You know how your firm is prepared to try this case. If we
My
can
firm
find
is not
something.
prepared to try the case. You are scheduled for trial next week. My firm doesn't know the case. We will not be trying it. And if you think for a second...
Gentlemen, come right in. We're all ready for you.
That's John Raferson.
You know him?
Do I know him?
Mr. Bassett?
Mr. Bassett.
I did not convince Meredith she had been raped. She came to the Rape Crisis Center because she knew she had been raped.
Have you ever tried to convince someone to press charges when they hadn't been raped?
No.
According to her testimony, Meredith decided to press charges only after talking to you.
We talked about the legal definition. And after hearing the facts, I told her she should speak to the police.
So you gave her the legal definition?
Yes.
Are you a lawyer?
No, sir, I'm not.
But you know enough about the law to advise her to call the police?
Enough to give her that option, yes.
Who called the police, you or Ms. Danzer?
Actually, I did. She was emotionally
You did? And you told the police that she'd been raped?
No. I told them I was a rape crisis counselor and that
Is
I
it your
had...
testimony, Ms. Hatcher, that Ms. Danzer came to the conclusion that she was raped independently of your influence?
I can't really know that, Mr. Tagger.
Well, could she have
The
been?
witness has answered she doesn't know.
Withdrawn. When a person is sexually assaulted, is this something that she gets over easily with counseling?
Of course not.
In fact, some of these victims carry the trauma with them for a long time, do they not?
Some the rest of their lives.
Many are angry. Would that be consistent with your testimony?
Yes.
Have you ever been sexually assaulted, Ms. Hatcher?
Objection.
Goes to bias, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
Have you ever been sexually assaulted?
Yes.
Your dentist molested you while you were under anesthesia.
Yes.
And the superintendent at your apartment secretly installed cameras and he photographed you.
Your Honor, this has no probative value.
I'm allowing it, Miss Campbell. Please sit down.
Truthfully, Ms. Hatcher, when you decided to become a rape crisis counselor, is it possible that your own anger was in play?
It had nothing to do with that.
Nothing at all.
No.
You've seen the discovery. The doctors have cited reflection as the cause.
Look, I'm not a scientist. None of us is here. So it wouldn't make much sense for us to debate liability. Our client has directed us not to settle.
I suspect your client doesn't really want a trial.
Actually, Mr. Young, in this case, they do. There's nothing better than a trial sometimes to send the message that you won't settle out. And this one presents a pretty risk-free opportunity in their minds.
You're here. Obviously, you've got a number.
Well, the number, I'm afraid, is 0. We're here to satisfy ourselves that it's the correct number.
We just beat the EPA for over $30 million on injuries that weren't even as bad.
They beat the EPA, Mr. Bassett. Now, while I salute your last-minute ingenuity in signing them up for shock value, we know who opposing counsel really is.
My firm is very prepared to be involved here.
This is complex product liability, and however impressive your talent, there's no way you could conceivably be ready to try this by next week. Mr. Bassett will have to lead this charge, whether he wants to or not.
We'll get a continuance.
He's gotten 6 of them. The judge indicated this last one was final. We're very sorry for the young girl's difficulties, but we maintain our client did not cause them. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us.
The man who just walked out of this room is one of the top 3 civil litigators in Boston. Are you ready to try this case against him?
How could they just remove a person from a country? Just because I forgot to file some adoption papers?
They're convinced he knows who shot this police officer.
What did he say?
He says he didn't see anything.
Can't you go to federal court and try to undo this?
I'm going in this afternoon. I've scheduled a hearing with a judge. But if I lose that, they'll take him. He'll be on a plane to Colombia. If he did see something, maybe you two can convince him to reveal what he can. It may be his only chance.
We'll talk to him.
I appreciate that.
I'd gone to the hospital because I had bruising.
From?
Having sex. And the doctor who treated me, I guess he was concerned that maybe I'd been assaulted.
Had you been?
No. I guess it was pretty rough, but it was totally consensual.
Did you talk to Lucy Hatcher?
Yes.
And did you tell her that the sex was consensual?
Yes.
And how did she respond?
She tried to convince me that I'd been raped. She wanted to call the cops. I kept telling her it wasn't a rape, but she just didn't want to accept that.
Thank you, Cindy. Yours?
Have you ever needed to be hospitalized after having consensual sex before?
No.
You filed a police report, didn't you?
Because Lucy Hatcher convinced me to. She's the one who pushed it.
The rape counselor. The woman who you voluntarily talked to about what happened that night.
I wasn't raped.
Yet when a doctor asked you if you wanted to see a rape counselor, you said yes, didn't you?
Yes.
Nothing further.
The witness may step down.
She was raped, Helen. It was total date rape. Either she's too ashamed or she's in denial. I never convinced her to file a report.
All right, Lucy.
Well, can't you put me back up there to impeach her?
It won't do us any good.
The movers will pick up the files by 3 o'clock.
Okay.
I could sure use a second chair at the trial if you're interested.
Harlan, I don't know that I do you much good.
I could get you up to speed.
I just can't. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope you don't mind. I scheduled a meeting here with the client. I didn't know how long we'd be tied up trying to settle if I could just borrow the conference room for another half hour or so.
Sure.
3 days later, she cries rape. After meeting with this Lucy Hatcher, who convinced her to cry rape. A rape counselor who had been victimized herself. Who admitted herself that she didn't know whether she influenced Meredith Danzer's decision to call the police or not. Meredith told you that prior to her meeting with Ms. Hatcher, she was confused about whether she'd been raped. If the so-called victim is confused, ladies and gentlemen, of course you have reasonable doubt.
Meredith sought out a rape counselor. Lucy Hatcher didn't go to her. Her wrists were bruised. Her clothes were ripped. She said no. She tried to push Benjamin Smith off. He pinned her legs with his knees and forced himself in her. That is rape, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter how many days later it is reported. Non-consensual sex by force is rape.
All these cases involve discretion, and it's an abuse. Throwing this kid out of the country on a year-old drug conviction.
You know we have authority on this matter, Miss Dole.
I'm not challenging your authority. He was adopted at the age of 1. He's not from a foreign nation. He's from here.
It doesn't quite smell right, I grant you. But the discretion you speak of, Ms. Dole, is very wide.
They're using this to extort testimony. You cannot leverage deportation. Whatever this country is about, it can't be that.
Don't run him up the flagpole as a model citizen.
Well, he pretty much is a model citizen.
Then he should perform his civic duty and tell the government who killed the police officer.
You don't know that he saw anything.
He was in a 12 by 20 foot room.
But that doesn't mean...
If you're going to be disingenuous, don't cry foul.
All right. I'm not going to deny the removal petition.
Your Honor, please.
It sounds to me like your client's fate is in his own hands, counsel. Get him to accept their offer.
Being in Colombia, it's better than Hector doing life.
What will you do there? No family, no friends. You can't even speak Spanish. And Manny, understand this. You can never come back here, not even on a tourist visa.
Maybe I can sneak back in.
And if you're caught doing that, you could get 20 years, after which they'll deport you again. I know you love your brother very much, but this is too big a sacrifice. My advice, tell the police what you know.
I can't. It would kill my mother.
Losing you will hurt your mother more than...
understand. It would kill my mother.
What are you talking about?
Hector says if I tell, they'll have her killed. And he'd do it, Miss Dole. You don't know how ruthless he can be.
Your brother would kill your mother? His mother? If...
He says he would. And from what I know, and from what I've seen, I'm not sure he wouldn't.
Will the defendant please rise? Madam Foreperson, has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What say you?
Commonwealth versus Smith on the charge of rape. We find the defendant, Benjamin Smith, not guilty.
Members of the jury, this completes your service. You are dismissed with the thanks of the court. The defendant is free to go. We're adjourned.
I'm sorry.
You did your best.
And so did you, Meredith. You were very courageous coming in here.
Thank you.
If there's any way I can help you...
Thanks. I better go. I never told her to lie or say anything.
I know you didn't.
I don't think I steered her. I don't think I did.
I'm sure you didn't mean to if you did. But if you did... It's the toughest part of my job, Luz. I make up my mind what the right result should be, and I'm tempted to steer my witnesses to accomplish that result. It's the toughest part of my job to resist that. Might be a difficult thing for you in your job, too.
May I help you? I'm looking for Harlan Bassett.
Christine, hello. Hi, Annie.
How'd we do?
Well, didn't get the number I want yet. Eugene, this is Christine and Annie Mullen, our clients.
Hello. Hi, Annie. I'm Eugene Young.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
What did we get?
Well, they didn't want to settle at all.
What does that mean?
It means, sweetie, we're gonna go to trial.
And you're gonna beat them?
Well, it'll be tough. But, you know...
We're gonna try, Annie. Harlan? That drug did this to her?
Every bit of it. 6 months ago, she was completely healthy.
Get your files back into that room.
Yes, sir.
Annie. You up for a fight?
Yes.
That's what I want to hear.
Is there any way to reverse it?
I don't think so. I'll keep trying.
When would he be deported?
A week, maybe 2.
When my sister died, I promised myself I would take care of him. I would love him as my own.
We've certainly done that.
I'd appreciate it if you would keep working, whatever.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mrs. Guzman.
Yeah.
Good night.
I heard. It just came from Manny. Thanks for everything you did.
Sure.
Previously on The Practice.
I got a lewd and lascivious scheduled for trial this morning, but Judge Hiller, she's ordered me to get co-counsel.
Why?
Something about how I've never won a trial.
Bobby, it's bad for us to even be associated with Harlan Bassett. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, and the world's worst attorney.
I do not want to be in court with that man.
If I have you guys on board as co-counsel, I know I could chip the settlement up.
Well, every time I sign up with you, I end up getting embarrassed.
That's not going to happen this time.
What's this case and what's our involvement?
Product liability against a drug company that injured a little girl. Harlan...
This guy ponies you up every time.
I told him I'd join him for a settlement conference. That's all it will be.
Gentlemen, come right in.
That's John Raferson.
You know him?
The man is one of the top 3 civil litigators in Boston.
Our client has directed us not to settle.
We just beat the EPA for over $30 million on injuries that weren't even as bad.
They beat the EPA, Mr. Bassett. Now, while I salute your last-minute ingenuity in signing them up for shock value, we know who opposing counsel really is.
Eugene, this is Christine and Annie Mullen, our clients.
Hello.
That drug did this to her?
Every bit of it. 6 months ago, she was completely healthy.
Annie, you up for a fight?
Yes.
You tough enough to take on the drug company?
I'll be as tough as I need to be.
The big hurdle is causation. Proving the drug caused Annie's liver failure.
And do we have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt?
No. Well, that's the criminal standard. The burden here is the preponderance of the evidence.
Where is Harlan?
He should be right in.
Mr. and Mrs. Mullen, we don't think we'll win. Our goal here, if we can do well enough that we might win, then we should be able to settle because Hayden Laboratories can't risk losing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me check on Harlan. Harlan, the Mullens are waiting.
Could you take the meeting, Eugene?
Take the meeting? It's a pre-trial. They want to talk to you.
I'm just...
What's wrong?
I'm having a little anxiety. It's nothing. Had it before. It goes away.
What goes away? What exactly are you feeling?
My breathing gets little hard. Just need a few minutes.
So, should I tell them to wait?
No. I'm okay.
Harlan?
Okay. I can't get air.
I want to do one more test, but from everything I can see, it was just an anxiety attack. Your heart looks fine.
Thank God.
We can keep you overnight, or you can leave if you
No,
want.
I gotta leave. I'm in trial in 6 hours.
Harlan, I think we can get a continuance.
I wouldn't be so sure, Eugene. This judge said the last one was final.
But this is medical. You had a near heart attack, so...
That's the problem. Could I have a second?
Absolutely. I'll check back.
The last continuance I got, I sort of faked a heart attack.
What do you mean you sort of faked a heart attack?
He wasn't going to give me any more time. So I grabbed my chest and I said I had to go to my doctor. He says if this happens again, then somebody else is going to have to try it because the case is going forward no matter what.
You're the only one who can try this case. We don't know it well enough.
Which is why I ought to be checking out tonight. Hand me my pants, would you?
So you're going forward?
He says he's ready. Exhibits?
They've been delivered to the courthouse.
Do you guys have any chance?
That is an encouragement, Eleanor. The first chance you get to settle.
Don't worry.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right.
Annie Mullen came to me with a sinus infection. I first treated it with another antibiotic. When that didn't work, I prescribed Reflexin.
Reflexin. This is also an antibiotic?
That's correct.
And what happened?
After taking the drug, she almost immediately went into acute liver failure, ultimately resulting in 2 transplants.
In your medical opinion, ma'am, did Reflexin cause this liver failure?
I cannot state it to a medical certainty, but I can think of no cause other than the Reflexin.
Objection.
Doctor, did you know that Reflexin was dangerous?
Objection. No foundation.
Sustained. What were your expectations regarding the safety of this antibiotic, Doctor?
I was aware that it hadn't been tested on children, but neither are about 80% of the drugs on the market today. Obviously, I didn't consider it to be dangerous. If I did, I wouldn't have prescribed it.
But this is an adult drug.
Yes, but we have to prescribe adult drugs to children because the pharmaceutical companies test so few of them on kids.
And to your knowledge, do many pediatricians prescribe adult drugs to children?
We all do, routinely.
All right, Doctor, would you tell the court how you first learned about Reflexin?
The same way I hear about all new drugs. The company sends out a rep. He's called a detail person to promote the product.
Did this detail person say anything about the safety of Reflexin?
He represented it to me as very safe.
Did he warn you about giving it to kids?
No, he did not.
Doctor, you were sued by the Mullins and you settled out of court, did you not?
On the advice of my lawyer, I settled the claim, yes.
Now, as part of that settlement agreement, you agreed to assist the plaintiff in pursuing her claims against other parties.
Yes, but I only agreed to tell the truth, which is what I've done here.
The literature that you received from my client's detail person included all labeling information, did it not, Doctor?
Yes.
And I show you a copy of that information now marked and identified as Exhibit A. Could you read the highlighted section.
Not proven safe and effective for children under 16 years of age.
And yet you prescribed it to a 13-year-old girl?
It's done all the time.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Bassett, redirect?
Can you think of anything else?
No, you got what you can from her. And you don't want to give Raverson another whack across.
Right.
Harlan, tell the judge you have nothing further.
Nothing further from this witness, Your Honor.
Looking at the biopsy on her liver, I concluded to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that drug toxicity was the cause for the failure.
Do you know which drug caused this toxicity?
It had to be the Reflexin. 2 weeks after she took it, she needed an emergency transplant. She had no medical history that made her susceptible, and I found no other factors that would have contributed to the failure.
Okay, Doctor. Can you tell us why the Reflexin would have caused her liver to fail?
All drugs are metabolized through either the liver or the kidneys, and sometimes the drug can simply overwhelm the liver.
Can it attack children in particular?
Children are especially vulnerable. They have immature livers. And for a number of reasons, they cannot be treated simply as small adults. That's why this drug should have been tested on children.
Was it?
No.
Are you aware of any research or data that suggest Reflexin causes liver failure?
Hayden's own data indicated abnormal levels of liver activity. That's from their own study.
Now, in this data that you refer to, what % of the participants had an elevated liver function?
I believe it was 2%.
2%? Are there other drugs on the market that cause similar levels of elevated liver activity?
Yes.
A few? Many?
Many.
Do you know how many people would die if we took them off the market?
Objection, speculative.
Sustained.
Doctor, you spoke about children being especially vulnerable. Isn't it true that children's livers are typically more resilient than adults?
Typically, yes, but not always.
Thank you, Doctor.
It was a good start. Solid.
It was?
It seemed like the doctors admitted they weren't sure.
Well, we knew they'd have to. That's what we talked about last night. Proof is tough. But Harlan did a good job.
Why is he breathing into that bag?
It works. I do it all the time. You get more oxygen that way. So what's next?
Annie's next. You ready, Annie?
Yes,
You're gonna have to be brave up there.
I'm ready.
You're gonna do great.
While she's testifying, I do not want you to move.
Not at all.
Not at all. She's our case, Harlan. Now, if they're gonna budge on settling Annie's testimony, we'll have to do it. We need every juror's eyes on her.
Okay. We're almost there, aren't we?
We haven't even finished putting in our case. After that, they put on a defense.
Right.
Let's go.
I threw up a lot, but I thought it was a stomach flu. Then I was on the bus to school and I passed out.
What happened?
They said my liver stopped working and I needed another one.
And then?
Then I got really sick for a few weeks. My eyes and skin turned yellow and I lost all this weight. But then they found a new liver.
So you got a transplant?
Yeah, but it didn't work.
Tell us how it didn't work.
My body started to reject the replacement liver. I got really sick. It took a long time to find another one.
Longer than the first one?
Yes. I wasn't as high on the list anymore because they thought that my body would reject the next liver too.
Is everything going to be okay now?
I don't know. My body's still having some problems. They have me on these anti-rejection pills that I have to take every day for the rest of my life. And that makes me more likely to get stuff like infections and cancer.
Annie, what if you need a third transplant?
I probably wouldn't get it. I'm too far down the list.
Thank you, Annie.
I'm very sorry about your illness, Annie. I know that everybody in this room wishes you a complete recovery.
Thank you.
I'm going to just ask you a few questions. If at any time you want to take a break, I'm sure we can do that. Okay?
Okay.
When the doctors were diagnosing you, did they ask whether you had taken any other drugs or taken too many pain relievers?
I think so. Yeah.
Do you remember what your answer was?
I told them that I hadn't, except for the other antibiotics.
Okay. You know, they were asking about other possible reasons your liver failed.
Yes.
You also told them you hadn't drunk alcohol, right?
Yes.
Now, Annie, remember a sleepover at your friend Robin Cohen's house a few weeks before you fell ill?
I think so.
If we brought Robin here and asked whether you and the other girls drank from her father's liquor cabinet, what would she say?
I hardly had anything.
So you had some.
Yes.
You didn't tell that to the doctors, though, did you?
No.
Are there any other things you didn't tell the doctors?
No.
Okay. Prior to your taking Reflexin, you'd taken other antibiotics, right?
Yes.
And you'd had a flu a few weeks before this?
Yes.
Did you take any cough medicine?
Yes.
Pain relievers?
Yes.
Okay, Annie. It's actually all I have. And again, let me extend my wishes that you have a complete and healthy recovery.
Thank you.
Annie, how much alcohol have you had in your life?
I've had like 2 sips of vodka. That's it. I hated it.
And did you tell the truth to the doctors for all the other questions they asked you?
Yes.
Thank you, Annie. Eugene's going to dinner with the defense lawyer. They've now seen our case. If we're gonna get an offer, this would be the time.
It's a good sign that he's willing to have dinner, right?
We hope.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Why, sweetheart?
For not telling you about that sleepover. And the alcohol.
Hey, you did great up there. That was just a cheap trick. It'll backfire. You watch.
The doctor said to John, toxicity to the liver causes failure. He ruled out everything but Reflexin.
I thought I crossed him okay.
But the bottom line is, it's in the record. Plus, we have a very sympathetic little girl.
You're preaching to the choir. I've been trying to convince Hayden to offer something. Trust me, I don't like going up against little girls.
So what gives?
I think they're angry.
Your client?
The pediatrician dropped the ball here, Eugene. I'm not saying doctors don't prescribe off-label. I know they do. But she should have at least monitored the girl. You know, for her to settle out with a promise to testify against the drug company?
She's not the first doctor to do that.
Exactly, which is why they're so angry.
Give me something. Come on, admit it. Harlan Bassett has done better than you thought.
If it were up to me. But it isn't.
Okay. We just keep going.
Their first witness is the hepatologist.
Dr. Peter Kendall.
Reflexin is not the most likely cause of Miss Mullins' liver damage.
Can you be sure of that, Dr. Kendall?
Viral infections are the most common cause of liver failure in children. This girl was coming off a stomach flu, and that's probably the very infection that led to her liver injury.
Can you state this to a medical certainty, Doctor?
Not a certainty. You have to understand that the cause of most cases of liver failure in children is unknown.
So in a majority of cases, there's no cause found.
That's correct, but here we know she had a viral infection, which we can isolate as the most likely culprit.
Doctor, isn't it true that the vast majority of stomach flus do not cause liver failure?
Neither do most drugs.
But the speed at which Annie's liver failed is more consistent with drug toxicity, isn't it?
In general, yes.
You can't rule out Reflexin as cause of Annie's injuries, can you?
Well, the question is not...
You can't rule it out, can you?
No.
And, Doctor, how many times have you testified for drug companies?
I can't be sure.
More than 50?
Yes.
More than 100?
Probably.
And in all these appearances, have you ever testified for a plaintiff?
No, I haven't.
I'll take him to the witness room.
Am I crazy? Or is Harlan... He was good just then.
He was.
Eugene, we've put in our case. We just had their first witness. And we're in this. Nobody's laughing in there.
Yeah, but now come their big guns.
I know. But nobody's laughing.
For a drug to be approved in the United States, it needs to go through an incredible testing process.
When you say incredible,
I mean hundreds of millions of dollars. First comes testing on a cellular level, then animals. The last step is clinical trials on humans.
Then what?
Then the company turns over its clinical data to the FDA medical officers. They review the data, then they convene an advisory panel of outside independent specialists who give an opinion, which the FDA may or may not follow.
What does it mean to have approval from the FDA?
It's the gold standard.
Meaning?
The United States has the safest, most rigorous pharmaceutical testing process in the world. Many, many drugs are available overseas that are prohibited here for safety reasons. In fact, a number of states limit the liability of drug manufacturers from suits if their product is FDA approved.
Objection.
Sustained. Jury will disregard.
From your review of the data, did Hayden Laboratories comply with testing requirements for Reflexin?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Doctor.
In the last 4 years, 11 different drugs have been pulled off the market after the FDA approved them. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Duract, painkiller linked to liver failure.
That was one of them.
Objection. This trial's about Reflexin.
They opened the door, Your Honor. This witness testified that the FDA's approval was the gold standard.
Objection overruled.
Lotronex, irritable bowel syndrome, suspected cause of 5 deaths.
Yes.
Propulsid, heartburn, suspected in over 300 deaths.
Yes.
Seldane, Resolent, the list goes on. All approved by the FDA, all pulled because of safety concerns.
The fact that these drugs were withdrawn shows that the system works, that the FDA investigators are doing their job.
Think the 20 million Americans who took those drugs believe the system works?
Objection.
Sustained.
The fact that the FDA approved Reflexin doesn't establish it's safe, does it, Doctor?
There are never any guarantees.
I am extremely proud of Reflexin. It kills bacterial infections that can lead to pneumonia and meningitis. It saves lives every single day.
Are you satisfied, sir, that it's safe?
Absolutely. When used as directed. Now here, it was not used as directed. It is not intended for children. Now, I don't believe that Reflexin caused Annie Mullins' injuries. Nevertheless, it should never have been prescribed. That's why our label is clear. Not proven safe for children under 16. What else can we do? We cannot be held responsible for every doctor who ignores our warnings.
Thank you, Mr. Yates.
Eugene, can you take this one?
What?
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Look, Harlan, I really don't think we should let what that witness just said hang with the jury. The sooner we diffuse it, the better.
The FDA advisory committee that approved your drug was comprised of 12 doctors, correct?
Yes.
And 7 of them had financial ties to your company, didn't they?
We fund research, Mr. Bassett. I mean, if that qualifies as financial ties, then technically you may be correct.
Fact is, the drug industry is the major source of funding for doctors who study the safety and efficacy of drugs. Isn't that right, Mr. Yates?
I believe so.
And if a doctor's studies don't come out like you want, he's not going to get a grant next time around for his research, is he?
That's not true.
As part of their compensation, you offer these doctors stock options in Hayden Labs, don't you?
Sometimes.
You make it in their financial interest to make favorable findings.
These are doctors that you're talking about. They are going to do what's right.
They're doctors. They're going to do what's right.
Objection. Argumentative.
Sustained.
What's the average review time for FDA approval?
A little over a year.
How long did the FDA review the application for Reflexin?
We were granted an expedited review.
How long?
6 months.
Do you think the FDA might have caught the problems with Reflexin if they took the normal review time?
There were no problems to catch.
Really? No problems to catch. What is an adverse drug report?
It's a form filled out by a doctor when a patient suffers an unexpected reaction that might, and I stress might, be related to a prescription drug.
I'm holding 6 adverse drug reports, which list Reflexin as primary suspect in liver damage. 4 involve children.
You are talking 6 reports out of 2 million prescriptions.
But doctors aren't required to file these reports, are they, Mr. Yates? Some experts estimate 6 reports translates to 600 actual complications.
I disagree.
You are aware that doctors are prescribing Reflexin to kids, aren't you?
All we can do is to make the appropriate warning. We can't control what doctors do.
Yes or no? You know doctors are prescribing it to kids.
Yes.
Hayden Labs made $265 million on Reflexin last year, didn't they?
Objection.
Overruled.
$265 million. How much of that came from off-label use by children?
Some.
Some. Children are good business, aren't they, Mr. Yates?
Objection.
Overruled.
You don't test children because you don't want to know what you'd find.
That is untrue.
Why do you only test adults when you know your drug is going to kids?
We limited our research and market to adults because the product is intended for adults. Again, we cannot control what the doctors do.
But when doctors prescribe Reflexin to kids, you don't issue a stronger warning. You don't do anything about it. You just take the money.
Objection.
Sustained.
Truthfully, you have researched children, haven't you? This is your research.
6 isolated cases is not data, Mr. Bassett.
How about 7?
You did great. He did great.
So now what?
Closing arguments. A good close, and we have a chance.
I haven't written it yet.
You'll do it tonight.
Can we get get together? We'll be right up.
Here comes the offer.
Oh, my God. What?
Oh, all right, listen. We need to pick a number. I need to go out there with a number.
600.
They won't pay 600.
2.
Harlan, you don't have to cave that much. How do you go from 6 to 2?
I'm confused.
Look, liability is still shaky. Last night the number was 0. Right now, I think 400,000 is possible.
$225.
That was a $500,000 cross if I ever heard one.
225 was as high as he authorized me. I'm not playing poker here. I could convince him to throw in your fees. You took it on a contingency. That's another 60 or so. Let's say goodbye to this at 3.
4. And we'll sign off.
Can't do it, Eugene. 3's the number.
No.
Okay. We get to do this one more day.
We just turned down $300,000.
Lucy? Guys. Guys.
What time is it?
7:30. How late were you up?
We just laid down to take a break at 4 or so.
Do we have any coffee?
I'll make some.
I need new clothes. I can't close in this.
You got plenty of time. It's early. When are you due in?
9.
Okay, so you don't have plenty of time.
I gotta go home and change. I'll meet you guys there.
They offered 3.
And you turned it down?
I know we can get another 100 if he closes well.
Or it could go back to 0. Have you ever heard Harlan Bassett close? It isn't pretty.
He's different this trial, Bobby. He's in some kind of zone.
In a zone? When have you ever known him not to screw things up? If you give him enough time.
We all know to warn our kids about the kind of drugs you buy on a street corner. We know to steer them away from shady dealers and back alleys. But what we don't know is that they are twice as likely to die from the drugs in our own medicine cabinets. James and Christine Mullen told their daughter to take her medicine because it would make her feel better. Look at her. A simple antibiotic. 2 weeks later, she lost her liver and an opportunity for a normal life. The defense would have you believe that her doctor bears all the responsibility. But this ignores one critical fact. Hayden Labs knew that once Reflexin was approved for adults, it would make its way to children. 80% of the drugs on the market today are not adequately tested on kids. 80%. And it's common practice for doctors to prescribe these medications to children. Now, knowing this, what does Hayden Labs do? They slip in the most innocuous warning they can, while at the same time marketing the drug to pediatricians. But saying not proven safe or effective is not the same as warning it could be dangerous. And they knew it. It's hard to wage a battle against a big pharmaceutical company. This is a $100 billion industry.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm loath to object during a closing, but this is neither relevant.
It is relevant. The revenues they generate are relevant to the extent that they control research.
I'll give you a short leash, Mr. Bassett, but keep it about the case.
the drug companies. They fund the research. They pay many doctors who are in charge of testing whether a drug is safe. And some drugs get to the market that are unsafe. In the last 4 years alone, 20 million Americans took drugs that were pulled off the market because of safety reasons. 20 million. And I submit that when Reflexin is finally tested on kids, it too will probably be pulled. But Hayden Labs, they're not going to test it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, not if they can help it. The problem with test results is you're stuck with them. And they don't want any test proving what Annie Mullen already knows, that this drug can cause liver failure. It caused hers. They don't care, ladies and gentlemen. They don't give a damn. And the FDA? They rely on clinical and advisory panels that are bankrolled by these people. In the end, it's not about safety. It's not about compassion. It's not about little girls like Annie. It's about money. That's all they understand. Go back to that jury room and return with a number that'll make them understand.
That was very impassioned. However, cases are decided on fact and merit, not passion. Fact. The cause of most liver failure in children is unknown. Fact. It's much more likely that Miss Mullen's stomach flu caused her liver failure than any drug she took. Fact. The FDA reviewed Reflexin and found it to be safe and effective when used as directed. Fact, the FDA still approves Reflexin. Fact, we warn doctors not to use it on children under 16. Fact, Miss Mullen's doctor read that warning and still prescribed it. Mr. Bassett would have you believe that the evil pharmaceutical companies are out there killing people for profit. Reflexin is in the family of antibiotics that has saved millions of lives. All right, yes. The drug companies fund research. Does this mean that the findings are bought? Absolutely not, and there is no evidence to suggest otherwise. They pay for this research to get it done, to be able to discover life-saving medicines. We all live longer, more enriched lives because of those medicines. Reflexin is one such life-saving medication. Now, do we know some doctors might possibly prescribe it to children? Yes. So we clearly warn them. Not proven safe for children. You know, what else can we do? What else can we do?
No matter what happens, Harlan, you tried a great case.
I still wish I could have done more with the medicals.
There isn't more. It's not like the truth is out there somewhere.
I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to repay you.
Me? I just sat there.
Yeah, right.
$400, Sion.
I need a second with co-counsel.
advise you. I can't say we're going to win, but if we win, it should be more than 4. What does your gut tell you?
Only that I gotta throw up.
No matter what, we gotta run it by the client.
If they're offering 4, do you think they'd go higher?
Well, this lawyer doesn't really play that way. He just puts it out. Now, that's not to say we couldn't chip it up some, but...
Harlan, 6 months ago, we put ourselves in your hands. Let's go to verdict.
Harlan.
They never thought we'd get this far, Eugene. Let's go to verdict.
Let me see if I can get it up to 6.
No. Let's go to verdict.
You understand, Mr. Mullen, that this could
I understand that Harlan took us here. I'm gonna follow his instinct. Jerry's back. Who's Jerry?
Jury. The jury's back.
Let's go. And Eugene, I'm sure.
Okay.
$600,000. No.
Can you get a read?
No.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What say you?
In the matter of Ann Mullen versus Hayden Laboratories, we find in favor of the plaintiff, Ann Mullen, and we order the defendant to pay compensatory damages in the amount of $5.6 million.
The defendant moves for a judgment notwithstanding the verdict. The evidence never established causation, and no reasonable jury could find that it did. In the alternative, we're entitled to a new trial.
Denied. Members of the jury, this concludes your service. Your judgment is so entered, and you are dismissed with thanks from the court.
How about that?
Yeah. You look like you're about to cry.
Yeah. And if you tell anybody, I'll kill you.